Hello everyone, it's me, Valerie from Stampin' with Valerie, and today I wanted to make a cute little card using the Honeybee stamp set and the detailed bee dies. So these are the dies and the stamp set. And also I wanted to use the Golden Honey Designer Series paper, which is a free item in the Celebration catalog. So the wonderful thing about this designer series paper is you can sponge on it, you can stamp on it, you can do whatever you want with it. Obviously you can do that with any designer series paper, but this honeycomb pattern makes it super easy to do. So I'm going to show you how I made this card. So first thing we're going to do is start with a piece of that Golden Honey Designer Series paper. And now of course this is just one print. The opposite side has little bees and little honeycombs all over it. But we are going to sponge this, and we are going to use 3 different colors. The first color that we are going to start with is Calypso Coral. Let me get my ink pad open and we will get started now. This is one of those things that I have not been the best at, but I am getting better at it. I'm like, oh, I love that I'm getting better at it. So now just got to be careful not to bend your paper like I just did. Now I want to do about the top 1/3 of this paper with Calypso Coral, and I want the end to be just a little bit darker than what I'm doing right here. So I'm just going to add a little bit more, and I always try to start off the paper and then go onto the paper in small circles. That makes it easier to blend the colors and get darker where you want darker. I think that should be good for the top of that. I'm going to keep my little sponge out because also I'm going to take the piece of Whisper White cardstock that is behind it. I'm going to use that same sponge, and along that top third I am just going to go around the edges and distress the edges with that Calypso Coral, but just around the top third because we are going to do the other colors for the center excuse me, and the bottom third. So now actually, I'm not going to move on until I do my little bee. Let's go ahead and do the bee for this one. You can see where I did my first bee. I have a little outline there. Again, start off the bee, go onto the bee, do it all in real light. And then for each wing, just add a little more color. And I press just a little bit harder to make sure I get it quite dark because I want this little bee to stand out. And especially that outer wing. See how pretty that looks when you get it a little bit darker on those wings? It's so pretty, I love it. And like I said, this is a skill that when I first did it, took me a while to get better at blending it. So it's kind of a honed skill. You have to do it a few times. Sorry, my voice keeps cracking here. You have to do it a bit to get it down. So don't feel bad the first time you try it. It doesn't work out. Just keep practicing. Now we're using crushed curry. And now my crushed curry layer I didn't make real dark. I mean, the other layer isn't, the Calypso Coral isn't real dark either, but since it's just in the center, you don't have to make one end darker or lighter because you're just in the center of that cardstock. We are going to do the same with a little bee. We're going to do that light all over the bee first, and then concentrate on those wings. And I really love the way this one turns out. I don't know what it is about that crushed curry, but it just really makes a nice, pretty dark wing. Isn't that gorgeous? And then the next, gotta sponge the edge. Don't let me forget. Don't let me forget. Just sponge the edge in the center of your Whisper White cardstock. All right, and the third color that we are going to use is Pool Party. I thought these 3 colors just looked so pretty together, so I'm like, I have to try this. And I love it when my brain comes up with something all on my own. There was no Pinterest inspiration. I did this all on my own, ladies and gentlemen. Isn't that fantastic? Aren't you proud of me? I'm pretty proud of myself. You know, I love going on Pinterest and getting inspired and getting ideas for things, but it's really exciting when you just come up with something all on your own that's your whole design. Like, I didn't get inspiration for this from anybody. So, pretty proud of myself, as you can tell. All right, and then just sponge around the edges of the bottom of the Whisper White cardstock with your Pool Party. And then they look so pretty when they're layered and you have this little edging, because I was trying to come up with a background for this and I was like, nothing did it justice. And because I wanted to do the gold foil honeycombs, I was like, I didn't want to put gold foil behind it, although that would have looked pretty, but it would have been too much with the gold foil honeycombs. Oh my goodness, didn't even do my bee. Gotta go back and do my bee. All right, let's get that little bee ready. So again, start with just doing light on the whole bee. And then concentrate on those wings, getting them darker. And again, you gotta press a little bit harder with your sponge, or at least that's how I do it. And it works out really well. Okay, there we go. Now we're done with that Pool Party and we can put it away. So we've got all three of our bees, and I probably should use a wipe on my fingers because I just dipped my finger into that Pool Party ink. Leave it to me. All right, so now we're gonna take some of this gorgeous Daffodil Delight ruched ribbon, and I don't even measure it. I'm gonna have to, when I cut this, I'm gonna have to measure it just so I have a measurement to put in my measurements and instructions for the blog. About 10 inches, all right. So remember that, 10 inches, 10 inches. All right, and then we are just gonna tie it over at this right edge. And I just do a knot, and I try to get it right at the edge. Now, it's not always gonna be perfect. You may have to adjust it just a little bit. And I probably could have did 11 inches just to give me a little more room for tying, but since I've got 10, we'll do 10 right now, and I'll just put 11 in my measurements so it isn't too difficult for anyone else to tie like it's being for me right now. There we go. And I just gotta flip that because I got it a little, there we go, a little twisted. And it's still twisted right on that edge. My goodness. So remember, you're not the only one who struggles. I do too. We're all human. It happens. All right, and then I took a glue dot to hold it down in a couple of places because I didn't want it coming up. So take your pick tool and just scoop up a glue dot. I put one right underneath that knot for sure because that really helps hold that down. And then one in the center. And that should be good. That should hold it right where we want it. We don't have to worry about it. And then you're going to take your snail adhesive and just do some snail on the back. Just get all of those little spots, and then I put a little bit right in the center as well. And just adhere it, because we are not going to put any dimensionals on these two layers. These are just going to be flat right directly onto the card. And then go ahead and run some adhesive around this one. And you could use Tombow or another adhesive that you have if you don't want to use snail. And there we go. I was like, why is it not running? It was stuck. All right, take a thick Whisper White card base, fold that in half. Use your bone folder to give it a good crease. Try not to get any extra adhesive on it like I just did. And then that little adhesive piece keeps sticking to me. And then go ahead and get your layers glued down or stuck down, whatever you want to call it. Flip your bees over. We're going to put some dimensionals on the back of them. And then I'm going to set this here. I have 2 gold foil honeycombs. And then I saved all the little pieces that were in it. And we're not necessarily going to use all of them, but I'm just going to dump them all right here so we have a good pile of them. go ahead and, like I said, get those dimensionals on the back of your bees. I went ahead and put 3 on them. They probably didn't necessarily need 3, but I did 1 on each wing, 1 on the body, just to make sure they stick good and they stay where we want them. And then the wings won't get pulled up. Now, if you wanted to, you could just put 1 in the center and then kind of curve your bee's wings up if you want the bee wings to be kind of standing up, but I didn't. I just wanted them like this. Now we are going to take, and that's where I messed up. I didn't get my vellum underneath that piece. Where's my vellum? Let me grab my vellum. So we got a 2 3/4 by 4-inch piece of vellum. I don't know how I could have forgotten that little piece, but we're just going to slide that in there. We just peeled that little glue dot up, put a little piece of snail adhesive on it. And if you had done it the way it should have been done, you could use Tombow glue underneath there too. So whatever you want to do, I just use a little piece of snail. And then that glue dot is still there. Stick it back down. There we go. See? Make mistakes. Go ahead and fix them. No problem. Go ahead and take your first honeycomb, because we're going to use the whole thing. And we'll use that Tombow glue. And we're just going to do tiny little amounts. I mean, you barely squeeze it out. Just enough to, you get a little dot and then just kind of spread it out. Now, the one thing about Tombow glue, if you get it on your card and you didn't want it and, you know, like it kind of goops out or something, you can wipe it up with a tissue or something. Take a clear block, hold it on there to hold that down. Kind of press it down a little bit, because being over top of that ribbon, it's doesn't quite hold it down. Of course, I could have used a heavier block and it probably would have held it down. Maybe if I just go ahead and throw 2 on there, then we can leave that. We're going to take 2 pieces of this little honeycomb, and we are just going to cut it apart. Now, anywhere where there's a little piece sticking out like this little, just cut that off, because we don't need those little pieces. Now, this is going to look a little bit different than my first one, just because I cut this honeycomb a little bit different. You can cut it into 4 pieces, 5, however many little honeycombs you want to do. But I'm just going to do 2, 1 on this right corner, 1 on that top corner on the right. Again, just get a little bit of glue around it. Doesn't take much, really. Stick it down. We're going to steal one of those blocks to hold that one down. And then by the time we get this one ready, we can steal that first block and put it on this corner. Hold it down. Now you can see there's a little bit of glue there, so what I'll do is I'll take that wipe that I had, just dot up that glue. And you can use a tissue as well, that works as well, but I didn't have a tissue right here, so I just used that. Just use a wipe, that's fine. All right, now we are going to take some mini dimensionals and we are going to put them in some of these little honeycomb pieces. I'll do this one exactly like I did that first one, just so I know I've got space for my bee there. This one's sticking to my finger for some reason, just because, why not? And then peel those backings off. And I'm going to leave those blocks sitting there for just another second to make sure those get glued down really good. Make sure the glue is dry anyway. And then just take some of these little honeycomb pieces that you cut out from it and fit them in there. And they're on those little dimensionals, so it gives them, again, dimension. Which, you know, we love using dimensionals. I've included my 2 favorites in this, dimensionals and vellum. You all know I love to do the vellum. That one's a little bit crooked. I might have to pull it up. Do a couple down here at the bottom. And since this one's a little bit bigger than it was before, we'll do an extra one. We'll do a 3rd one. because my other piece only had like 4 of the little things on it for the first card, but this one has a few more because I cut my honeycomb just a little bit different. If you don't have this stamp set yet, it is fantastic. You are more than welcome to go to my store at valeriesmith.stampinup.net to buy it for yourself. If you buy the stamp set and the dies, I want to say you have enough to get the paper for free, but I'm not quite sure what that bundle totals. I think it may not be quite enough, but you could buy some dimensionals and some other little things for putting your project together, like the gold foil sheets or something. Once you get to $50 is when you get, you could get the designer series paper for free, which is that honeycomb paper here that we used and did the sponging on. So just remember, just head over to my store. If you don't already have a demonstrator and you're looking for one, I would love to be your demonstrator. If you already have the honeybee stamp set, then give this card a shot. Try it out, see if you like it. It's really not a difficult card. It just takes a little bit of practice. And if you practice your sponging on just regular Whisper White cardstock, or even just stamp on your scrap paper, practice your sponging, then you won't feel like you're going to blow it when you actually cut the designer series paper and get ready to sponge it. You'll have practiced and you'll be ready for it. All right, these dimensional backings are sometimes a challenge, and I always forget to use my trick that a friend showed me. Just take your paper piercing tool and just poke them and scoop them up. And sometimes it works better than others, obviously. All right, so we've got the little pool party. bee is going to go down here with the pool party. Our crushed curry bee is going to go in the center here with the crushed curry color. And the Calypso Coral bee goes up here with the Calypso Coral. Now I also got a couple of hearts from those little dies, and I cut them with the gold foil. And I wanted them to both be, use dimensionals on them. So I take a half a dimensional for the little bit larger one, and you only need a quarter, and these are the mini dimensionals right here. That's how tiny the little heart is. You only need like a quarter of one to put on that tiny little heart, and I can't get that one off the scissors, so we'll use this one that's stuck to my finger. Peel the backing off, and of course that's the difficult part when they're that tiny, is getting that backing off them. So I put that little tiny one up here. Went ahead and put this little one down here. You can put them anywhere you want. They don't have to go right where I put them. And then we are going to use some Memento ink, and on that vellum, and I waited until after I had everything placed because I wanted to make sure my bees were right where I want them. You're going to stamp "Celebrate Every Moment." That is one of the sentiments that is in the, and it fits perfectly right inside those bees, except I got my E on my, little bit on my crushed curry bee there, but that's okay. You can still read it. It's perfect. There we go. That is how you make this gorgeous little honeybee card. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you make one for yourself. Now you got all these extra little gold honeycomb pieces that you can use for another project. So I hope you have a great day. Thank you for visiting my blog and watching my video. Don't forget to go to my store to buy the supplies if you need them. Bye.